5,500 years ago, this adorable animal caused the first outbreak of the plague, yes, that plague, the Black Death plague, ever in recorded history in Siberia. And unfortunately, most of the victims of this outbreak were children. Now, scientists have been able to look at the DNA of a bunch of individuals from 4 cemeteries near Lake Baikal, which is known as the oldest lake, and I think the deepest lake in the world. And they were able to find in the dental pulp, so in the teeth of these individuals, the bacteria that caused the plague, its DNA. Now, when I say most of the victims were children, I mean out of 2 of the 4 cemeteries which they looked at, 2/3 of the victims were under the age of 15, with a particular spike occurring around the ages of 7.5 to 11 years old, so before puberty. And you can actually see that children are being buried with siblings, not necessarily with parents. There aren't that many parent deaths. The scientists were able to identify 2 separate outbreaks of the plague, separated by around 500 years. And even though not everyone tested positive for the DNA, because of the rate of false positives that's normal in this kind of analysis, the scientists think that a majority, if not all, of the people in these cemeteries were victims of the outbreak. Now, if you don't know, this is a marmot, and even today, they're still carriers of the plague, and you can still catch it from them. And it's thought that the hunter-gatherers were eating them, and in the process of skinning, that's how they got the plague, that it somehow transferred from the blood, and then once one person's infected, it spreads around families, which explains why you have so many siblings being buried together. Now, why there's so many children specifically who are victims, they don't know that. It could be as simple as the children having more contact with the raw animal or the blood, or that children have a weaker immune system and that maybe once you got to the age of 20 or 30, you were strong enough that you could fight off the infection. We just don't know. But whatever the case is, 5,500 years ago, children were dying of the plague. A lot of children were dying of the plague in its first outbreak. And that must have been terrifying, because there was really nothing they could do. These hunter-gatherers had to sit and watch their children die, and that is devastating.